Okay, so I get asked this question a lot. So for me, this is historic. This is historic recording, a historic moment. I can finally like try to give my advice and then be done with it forever. Well, not forever. So you guys have can you just say what your job searching experience? You've never looked for a job before.
No.
Okay.
I directly got it from back in India.
Okay.
After graduation, yeah.
And what was your job search experience?
It's quite huge because I've been looking for jobs in many countries except UK. So,
okay, which countries?
I was trying to find jobs in Thailand, Japan, Spain, also tried in France, Germany, and United States once. Yeah.
Okay, so when you for Thailand, how did you start your job search in Thailand? Like, where would you start?
Okay, one thing that I did was meeting people from there. So they have jobs.
Very good, very good.
So I just asked them, what's your company?
Okay.
Are they looking for people, something like that? And then how can I find jobs, right? Like, what is the easy way for people there to find a job? And then they send me some links, find some opportunities and offers, and they apply to them. And yeah, the normal process, I guess. So most of the time is kind of similar, but in Thailand, from my point of view, was a bit like more than usual. If I mean more, so like I had like 5-6 rounds of interview.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that was a lot.
But so I can understand that. That's good. Like, but how would you meet somebody from Thailand to then ask them, like, how did you get to know a person from Thailand that you could ask for a job? 'Cause assuming you lived there for a little while, or
No. Well, in my case, I was a bit lucky because I got friends living there, so I asked them, literally. But then I also met people from online applications, this kind of conversation. Some of them want to learn Spanish, and I was like helping them a bit with English and Spanish at the same time. So yeah, I asked them things, they answer me, and we can
so
have a
it's a bit of an exchange setup. Okay.
Yeah.
So my advice has 8 parts or 9 parts. And some of them are quite obvious, and some of them are not so obvious. And then you guys can tell me if you think it's good or bad. You do this, so this. So the obvious one, right, is you check the popular job sites, websites, right? There are some popular websites for jobs.
Yeah.
That's the most obvious thing, right? And every country is going to have their own list of the most popular jobs websites, right? For the UK, some popular ones are Indeed. LinkedIn is going to be popular in a bunch of countries. There's a special website in the UK just for academic jobs. It's called jobs.ac.uk. That's where I've looked before. There's a website called Monster.
Yeah.
That's popular in the US too.
In India as well.
Yep, in India too. Okay. And there's another one called Glassdoor.
Type that
I
one.
did an internship over there in Monster.
Monster is like it sounds. Monster.
Yep. Glassdoor, I think, is another one worth
And CV
checking out.
Library is one of them.
CV Library? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know about that
And
one.
then Track Jobs.
CV Library. So you said you would never looked for a job though, so how do you know about CV
I'm
Library?
preparing myself. I'm keeping notes of everything.
Okay, so you're secretly preparing.
Yeah. It's like
What was the other one after CV Library?
Track Jobs. TRAC Track Jobs.
Track Jobs.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there are more for finding the sponsorship jobs or something. I don't recall the names now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
other things.
So yeah, like that's the obvious stuff. There are some drawbacks with those large websites, right? Two of the drawbacks are there are too many jobs on there, right, to pick from. And the other drawback, or at least one other drawback, is just the number of users. So if there is a good job on there, it's going to probably get blasted with applications, right? So I'm going to talk about some of those things in my advice. So for the problem of too many jobs being listed, my second piece of advice or recommendation is to make your search very narrow. Like get very as narrow as you can with your job search. So for example, like which topic in the level, like typically for a student here it's going to be entry level or graduate job or something like that. So something as narrow and specific as possible. Maybe you specify like a location, I don't know, number of hours a week, skill sets, and the level. Get it as narrow as possible.
I don't really agree with that.
Okay,
I mean, it's
okay.
something. I mean, it's something that we should do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I don't agree with that. Why? Because you may have, or you may end up with 4, 10 jobs that you want,
Okay.
and you are looking to get into these interviews, right? But as you said, there are like too many people as well, so you may be rejected, or maybe that company already has someone and they don't even contact you. So I will do actually completely opposite.
Okay.
Go like even apply to the senior level if you think like you fit in that.
Mm-hmm.
So don't worry about the experience. Don't worry about anything, because if they want you, they're gonna contact you, right? So it's just that kind of strategy. Like there are two kind of strategy always. Like okay, yes, you're looking for something, so be specific and don't stop till you get that you want, right? But then the other way is like okay, I don't have time to be specific, and I need money somehow, so I'm gonna apply to everything and then try luck. And then if I have at least 5 options, I can say, okay, I'm gonna choose this one. You know?
Yeah.
But at least you have 5 options to choose.
Okay.
Don't know if it makes sense.
It makes sense. The only problem is like, well, there are some problems with that approach too, right? You can't apply to everything. That's literally impossible. Like,
well, in LinkedIn you can, because there is an easy apply button. Yeah,
Easy
so
apply.
just easy apply. And then in many applications, the problem is like if you are using many platforms, then you have to fill all the data many times. But once you are there, you only need to send, right? The bad side of this, and I don't know if you notice it or not, is like many jobs in this kind of applications are from companies that actually are huge, but I don't know how you call it in English, but in Spanish we say like they are killers. They take someone, they
Mass
make them,
recruiters or something?
yeah, they make them work for a while.
okay. Yeah.
Right. And then it's very weird to find a really good job opportunity from one of the big techs there.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, maybe I haven't tried Monster or the others you said. I haven't tried them, but in LinkedIn, I haven't found any of them.
Anyways, personally, I would start narrow, look for the perfect jobs, and then after you apply for like your narrow, let's say you narrowed it down to 5 or 10, you find 5 or 10 of the perfect jobs, I would start there and then broaden the search and the scope after you get the perfect ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do, I'm going to apply for everything like as a starting point. I
mean,
wouldn't recommend
everything that you like, that you think, okay, I can do this, you know. But
And then for the perfect ones, this is the next thing,
Yeah.
I would save them. So if you find 5 to 10 perfect job descriptions, you save them. You literally go to the file menu and you hit save as PDF. Because like this is what you're looking for, right? Like this is what you want. Save it for future reference. That would be my third. And another reason you would do that is because when you have those 5 or 10 perfect ones, you might, after you apply to them, you don't get a response, you don't get the jobs. You might want to revise your CV and say, is there something I can do to my CV to match these perfect jobs that I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Like maybe I can take a class. Maybe it's just the wording that I'm choosing. Maybe I've left out the details. But like what I like about this narrow approach is, because if you don't have a narrow approach, you get lost in an endless jungle. Like the jobs landscape is endless. Like it's a never-ending jungle. So this gives you something to focus on, right? It keeps you from getting lost forever. So the fourth aspect, so the big sites, they're very good for volume, as we already noticed, but they're very intense for competition, right? That's the drawback. And especially what you just mentioned, right? Where LinkedIn is, you just have a check button. So they have like, on the other side of that check button are 10,000 applicants of people that just hit the check button. The lower the barrier is to applying, the more applications they're going to get. So that's another issue, right? So what can you do about that? This is something that I think not many people know about nor do, is visit local recruiting agents. So every town and city is going to have local job recruiting agents and agencies, offices. So you can Google like Nottingham local recruiting agent, and you can physically go to their office near the city center. Nottingham has like at least 10. I just did a quick search and I saw 12 in Nottingham. And sometimes they have specialities, like one specializes in whatever, office workers, one specializes in the trades. So that's something I would definitely look into. Some of the ones in Nottingham are Distinct Recruitment, Cherry Professional, Sky Recruitment Solutions, and so on. And I would visit them in person.
Okay.
So there you're going to have a different perspective on the jobs. Those are companies that have picked out those job recruiting agents and are looking for very specific people. And then when you apply for a job through there, you're in a very small pool of people. Like very small. You're not 1 in a million anymore that hit the apply for a job checkbox.
Yeah, I had the experience with that when I was trying to apply, when I was trying to find a job in France. I did it that way, and they were very nice, actually. I applied to them, and then they say, okay, I like your profile, you can fit anywhere, and literally anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my kind of profile, but don't get surprised. Just I've done many things. So yeah, they found me, like, in a couple of days, they found me a job in Nice, in the south of France.
What was the job?
Data science engineer.
Oh, wow.
That's nice.
Wow, this is good. This is great.
Yeah.
You have a lot of good experience.
Yeah, I mean, there are like many ways to find a job, and this one is probably one of the best, because they were all the time telling me, don't worry if you fail on this one, we have other candidates. So they already think for you, like, where you can fit. So you're gonna have like many options probably.
So that's nice.
I think it's a good way.
Nice. Yep. Yep.
So like these companies that you have mentioned now, so like are they only bound to UK, or like we can also apply to some other countries as well through them, or like it's only in UK?
So these agencies are really looking for local. They're
Okay.
trying to connect local employees to local companies.
Alright, okay.
So if you have a specific city or region in mind, you would try to contact the local recruiting agents in that city or
Yeah.
region.
Alright.
Yeah. What were you thinking about, India or
No, US.
US? Yeah, you would try to get in touch with the local.
Yeah.
There are business like that, by international business. They have like this one I apply with. They were I contacted them in Spain, and they said we have other offers in France.
Mhm.
Are you interested in that? And I said, yeah, why not?
Mhm.
I actually want to live abroad, anywhere. So yeah, that
Very good. Very good. Yep. And another thing is part of that is when you go into one of these local agents, you ask them for advice. That's part of the strategy. So you don't just go in there, give them your CV and run out as fast as you can. That's not a good idea. You say, can I talk to somebody? I would like to get advice on how to get a job, and I would like to get advice on searching for a job. I would like to get advice on like my CV if they have any feedback. So you're trying to create a conversation with one person, like one person that you think can actually be your ally in that agency. You're not just going in there and running away again and then like disappearing into the whatever, into the ether.
Yeah, one possible strategy about that, like talking with people, it could be imagine LinkedIn, and you see someone or like someone that looks like the profile you want to be, right? And they are working in a company. They're gonna have contacts,
Yeah.
so you can
Yeah.
message them. Oh, okay, do you you know if I can apply to
Yes,
some
that's
job?
a good strategy. That's a
Or
good strategy.
even literally talking to the
Yes.
recruiters.
That's the next thing I have. The next item I have. Guideline number
Sorry.
5. No,
I'm
this is
spoiling all
good.
your points.
No, it's good. It's good. You're a good person to have. So the next piece of advice is talk to people, but especially the people that are working at the company you want a job at already. But like just talking to people generally and letting everybody know that you're looking for a job, like that's a massive help. And I see this, I see some people do this, like even on social media, I'm looking for a job, and I see like millions of comments, you know, like, wow, look at all the responses of all the people saying, oh, there's a job here, or I have a job here, or send me your CV, and so on. A lot of jobs, and it would be interesting to know what percentage, but a lot of jobs are still being filled through word of mouth.
Yeah.
A lot. I don't know what percentage, but a lot. Maybe 50% or something are still
Or even
just
more, yeah.
word of mouth.
Yeah,
You
that's
know.
true.
Yeah.
So LinkedIn, we already mentioned. Facebook, I've seen people post things on Facebook and get lots and lots of responses. And of course, talking to people with a job and then asking them, are there any jobs where you work? That is a good approach. And of course, guideline 6 is improve your CV, right? That's a different video. But if the reason I put that there is if you're applying like the approach you mentioned in the beginning, you apply for 100 or 1,000 or
All you can. I mean, literally, I was swimming in calls. Like everyone was calling me like, when can you have an interview? So instead of meeting with my supervisor, I have meeting with people interviewing. So yeah, that's I mean, that's the ideal situation, the situation you want, especially at the beginning, because everyone is, at the beginning, is quite nervous.
Yeah.
Like they don't feel like
Yeah.
comfortable doing
Yeah.
interviews, and then after
It's
a
a
while
practice.
they realize, like all of them are exactly the same. Normally, you have like the first interview with the human resource people, and then kind of technical interview, and then the final interview, if everything is going well, with the boss, let's say, the one who's putting the money, right? And you're gonna realize, okay, the human resources doesn't have any idea what are they asking for. The technical one have a bit more idea, but they don't know neither. And then the boss, they don't care. They just want a person there. And well, it doesn't work like this for the big techs. But for normal companies, human resource people, they try to find keywords on the CV. So they go for that's the first screening. And then the technical people, when they do technical interviews, so you actually want to program, I normally avoid this kind of things because they are actually not testing you, they are trying actually to reject you somehow.
That's true. Yeah.
Because you cannot evaluate someone how good it is right now without using internet and do something, fix a problem in 1 hour. So they are looking for something else, like how you think or that kind of thing.
Problem solving.
Yeah.
Anyways, the reason I mention that is just because I see a lot of people, they say, I've applied to 1 million jobs, I'm exaggerating, and I'm not getting a response. This means that you need to think about your strategy and probably revise your CV. That's a separate video, which I've already done. So I have a video on how to prepare your CV and all that stuff. But I think it's very closely connected, so I just briefly mention it here. The next guideline I have is accept a sideways job. So what does that mean? That means like, don't expect your first job to be your dream job. Like, this is a huge error that I see a lot of people like making. They think they're immediately going to be senior engineer at Google. Like,
I mean, you kind of laugh, but yeah.
Accept a job that's not ideal, but once you have your foot inside the company, it's much easier to move and get other jobs internally. But you need a starting point, and any starting point inside a company is good.
You sure about that?
Well, it's not going to be true. Nothing I say is going to be true 100% of the time without exceptions. But I think as a general principle, yes.
I heard that it's easier to move to different jobs and increase position rather than staying in a job. I mean, well, in terms of money, probably. If you want to earn more money, it's easier if you jump between companies.
That's true, yes. So, like, there is some advice, you need to change jobs every approximately 3 years if you want to optimize your salary. Yeah. Yes, that's right. And you can also, like, get promoted that way. So you can get promoted at your own company by applying for jobs at other companies. But that's a different topic, that's a different video. Yeah. Like, optimizing salary and optimizing position and how to get promoted, those are slightly different topics than just getting the job and getting your foot in. But like, let's say the job is at Google and you have 2 applicants, one's internal and one's external. If they have the same qualifications, the internal one wins. Let's just say that, yeah. Because they're gonna be like, oh, we already know the guy. You're in, like, and some job advertisements are only advertising for external candidates because it's a legal requirement, but they already have an internal candidate selected, and that's happened to me a number of times. So there's a legal requirement when you have a job opening to advertise it externally, but they might already have the person they want. for that job picked out.
Why did they do that? Why did they offer a job and not a promotion?
There's a legal requirement. I don't know all the details, but there are some legal requirements. It's probably to reduce things like, I don't know, bias and sort of like equal opportunity requirements and that sort of stuff. But I don't know all the legal implications, but I know it happens, pretty regularly. And I've been in that situation before where I'm like, oh, wait a second. This is a fake interview, like you already have your candidate. There are ways to detect if you're at a fake interview too. That's a different video. But you can detect if you're at a fake interview. And one of the ways you can detect that is by the amount of hostility that you get from some of the people that are interviewing you. The more hostile they are, the more likely that it is that they have an internal candidate already selected. Yeah. That's a different video. Is this good so far? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Useful. You're probably not going to like the next one.
Which one?
The next guideline is keep a spreadsheet.
It's impossible.
It's impossible with your approach. So with my approach, I think it's a good idea. And to keep a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet has, every time you apply for a job, right? You have the company name, the job title, the job reference number, the URL, the date you applied, follow-up email date, follow-up phone call date. Yeah, so you have all that information there. Why would you do this? It's pretty obvious, right? Well, if you apply to too many jobs, then you make the mistake of applying to the same job twice.
Yeah.
You don't want to make that mistake.
Or maybe you won't, because in the first screening they're gonna reject you and you're gonna apply again.
You want to space it apart.
No, just kidding. Just kidding. I mean, actually, I don't use a spreadsheet. I use Notion for that.
Okay, Notion.
Yeah, Notion is good.
What is that? I don't know about that.
Oh,
It's a desktop application.
Yeah.
Okay.
App, yeah.
It's an app for.
It's an application for many things. They allow to have databases and spreadsheet, tables, boards.
AI generated things everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a note-taking app.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite good. So I use this one. And yeah, do exactly what you said.
Yeah. You keep track of what jobs you applied, when you applied for them, because most job advertisements will have like the date you need to apply by, right? You want to know what date you applied.
Yeah.
And you want this information if you want to follow up, right? You want to follow up. If it's a serious, in your approach, it's not possible. In my approach, it is possible to follow up. Like you call people, you're like, I applied for this job, and you say, I applied for this job on, the 1st of January 2024. And I just wondered what the status of my application is. And
if I'm honest with you, I literally went to an interview and said, sorry, can you remind me what is this job about?
Yeah, you have those cases too.
And actually the interview was well.
They gave you the job at the end, or?
Yeah.
What was the job?
My previous job actually.
Oh my god.
What was it?
It was a research assistant position at one foundation.
Which, like where? What was the?
In the north of Spain.
North of Spain. Okay.
If they see me.
I remember for my PhD studentship, which was a paid position, I got a salary for that. I applied, and I didn't get a response. At all. I'm like, and maybe a month or 2 months passed. And one of my friends asked me, like, whatever happened to that PhD studentship you applied for? And I said, I never got a response. And they're like, well, why don't you follow up? And I said, well, it's pretty obvious. Like, I definitely didn't get the job. If they thought I was good, they would have replied. Mm-hmm. And my friend said, no, just ask them what the status of your application is. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I said, I literally said, I'm gonna do this just for you.
And
Like,
you got it?
Yeah, I got it after I followed up. The reply was like, we like your application, but we found that this studentship, like, you don't fit the requirements of this studentship, so we're looking for a different one for you. And I got the different one, the second one or whatever it was. Yeah, so the follow-up thing is legit. Yeah, it's a legit thing. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, if you wait, you may be waiting all your life, right? But if you take an action, at least you have a reaction in the worst case, but you are more relaxed with yourself. You're like, okay, let's try to find something else. And
those are for the ones that you really want. You know, that's like the focus ones. There are some that you really want and you really want to follow up on, and because they're good. Okay, and then the last thing I have on my list is go to job fairs. There are lots of job fairs. The university, this one, NTU has them, and the city has them.
There are many job fairs and meetups as well. So like there's an app where you can meet people from different companies, maybe some employees from the companies or something. So like basically they have meetups every weekends or like every day. I mean they do such kind of things every week. I mean I guess.
How do you find those meetups?
I only went once, but then it was good actually. That was a data science and AI meetup or something. It was in city center. Like they mostly held at city center. So like yeah, people can.
How
even
did
go
you
there.
find that group?
So like I had a friend of mine who is working now. He's working in London. So like he told me about it. That go to some meetups and all. She will find people and you can make friends or something. She will know more people. You can contact them.
Networking.
Basically, yeah. So like.
So you found it with word of mouth.
Yeah.
Do you know how your friend found it?
I don't know. I have no idea. He just told me like he's working.
It was an AI meetup group.
Data science and AI meetup.
Data science, but it wasn't specifically about job searching. It was just a data science.
It's a normal meetup where you get to meet people.
Okay.
And if there are people who is looking to hire people, and there are also like people like us who is looking for jobs. So like if there's an employer over there and I can talk with them, then that's a different thing. So like they do have these things as well. So like that's a good opportunity, I guess.
And you went once.
I went once.
Why did you stop?
Boring.
Were there any employers there at the one you went to?
That time they didn't have any employers, but there are people from different companies. And many PhD students and many master students, those are looking for jobs or something. So like there are various sorts of people.
Yeah, I suppose in general it would be like look for networking events, something like that, rather than. But I noticed like a lot of, I'm not looking for a job, but I still notice advertisements for job fairs and stuff, and I think like, I wish that more students went to those job fairs, because they come to me saying, can I have a job? And then I'm like, you should really be going to the job fairs. Yeah.
At least they are doing the first step. It's like talk to people.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Talk to people.
Maybe the wrong person to do
yeah, it's true.
Because you cannot offer them a job, but yeah, at least they are doing it.
Perfect. I had all 9 points. That was great. Any other things that I left off? I think that's the main stuff.
Yeah, probably. I mean, we'll be talking about the CV, right? How to prepare a CV in this kind of things. If we have a general CV, and then for each job you find the keywords just to pass the first screen and at least talk to them.
Yeah, that's a different.
Or ATS checking and all.
Yeah, just do like a kind of CV that you can change quickly and then send it to them.
So the apply
Just
button.
tailoring it with, and send directly.
Any questions, Wen Tao?
Yes, I do have a question.
Yeah.
So, what is a reasonable price for a recruiting agency?
Oh, like the ones that, I mean, some of them don't have any fees.
Oh,
So, like, usually they do not have any fees, at least in the US and in the UK. The person that's paying the fee is the employer.
oh,
So the employers pay the agencies, and that's,
okay.
but also sometimes the agencies are sponsored by the government, like tax subsidies. So you have different kinds of agencies. Some are paid for by the employer, some are paid for by taxes, and some are paid for by both. But in my experience, I have only dealt with agencies that I don't have to pay for. But you're right, there are probably some agencies where the job seeker is paying a fee and saying, go find me a job. That's probably possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess one question as well from people abroad UK will be like, how can we find any job that actually give me any support on the visa? Right?
Oh, that's
That
a
could
different
be-
question.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
If they're staying here, okay, I think
It's
it's
really
alright.
good,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for us, it's very difficult to get a job with that. And
Yeah, yeah. So just some knee-jerk thoughts on that. Obviously, the academic jobs are an avenue. When you get an academic job, you get a passport, your international passport, right? It's like, so you can get a PhD in any country and get your sponsorship. Obviously, it's very competitive.
yeah.
But like that is one avenue. That's the kind of the avenue I took, right? And then if you have a PhD, then you get the skilled labor visa basically anywhere. That's the route I took. It's not the easy route.
You can take the same route.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not interested in staying in academia, but I'm taking the PhD mainly because doing this kind of looking for jobs.
Yeah.
Many of
yeah.
them in big companies are starting like asking people with high
Qualifications.
qualifications
Yeah.
like a PhD.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's do a PhD, then increase my chances as well. That differentiation with the rest of
The applicants.
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's always good to have a PhD.
Yeah. Or in like, so I know a Romanian that got his PhD in visualization and then moved to the US. Like, no problem. Like green card, everything. Like, so that's one route. And like I know many Chinese students that got their degrees, either masters or PhDs in visualization, that stayed here permanently. They were able to get a job in the skilled labor category and just stay.
I know a few
indefinitely.
people doing the PhD in different areas. That what they do is like, okay, let's go for an internship in the last year, right? And then they stay there in the business. So it's not like a bad idea if you get a scholarship in a PhD somewhere. So another option.
But that's very difficult to get.
No, it isn't.
guess
It isn't.
it is.
Well, it isn't if you. I mean.
It is difficult. Yeah, just because you get it doesn't mean that even we.
No, I mean it depends on the moment.
It's competitive.
It's very competitive, yeah.
But you can do it with just a master's degree. So I know students with master's degrees in visualization that have gotten jobs and stayed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's possible with a master's degree only. Yeah. In computer science, you're in a special area. Yeah, it's not an ordinary area.
Yeah, very lucky. It's a very lucky field
Yeah.
for us. We can find a job anywhere.
Yeah,
Actually.
yeah, pretty much, yeah. So yeah, that's my knee jerk. If for other, oh, I know another very common route is healthcare. So if you studied nursing, you're in. You can go internationally. Like most countries are happy to have nurses, recruit nurses from abroad. And if you pay close attention, a lot of Indians too, but a lot of people in the UK have come in through the healthcare route.
Yeah, I know a lot of them.
They're like, oh, I'm from Nigeria and I got this job at like taking care of people, assisted living, and that's it. Like done.
That's
like,
right.
So health is another good avenue, the healthcare. So it's not only computer science. Probably some engineering is a good route too, like electrical engineering or computer engineering, that sort of thing.
Yeah, industrial any engineer actually. Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, it is possible. It would be interesting to explore other avenues. Like I've never looked deeply into the topic of like how to get work visas and work sponsorship. I haven't looked deeply into this. I just have this general idea of going to through the skilled labor route. You know. Yeah, and computer science is definitely probably the best subject in health, like healthcare. These are the two best subjects to get your working visa in an international setting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Any other questions, Wen-Tao?
Yes, I do have another question. So, if the reason for doing a PhD is to get a visa, is that a good reason to do it?
Good question. Good question. It can be, but it's not necessarily a good reason. Okay, here's where it's a good decision if you like research too. If you want to get a visa and you like research, then it's a good decision. If you want a visa and you hate research, then it's not a good decision, probably.
Yeah.
And same thing, like it's like computer science too. Like, would you study computer science just to get the visa? Not if you hate it too much. Like you wouldn't want to do it, right? Same with health, right? If you really hate healthcare, and you're doing it just for the visa, maybe for some people, but in general, that's not a good idea. There's got to be some level of tolerance for those topics. And in the ideal case, you like those topics. Yeah. But I certainly, many people have gotten PhDs for visa purposes, for career progression, and those practical things for salaries, not because they like research, right? Not that, like a lot of people do that. So, yeah.
I like private research. That's a different story, right? You can also find like positions after the PhD in a company who has their own
R&D.
Yeah,
so you are a researcher in a private company.
Yeah.
So
You can directly go there maybe after a PhD. It's easy to get in an R&D in any company once you do a PhD. For us, it's not.
The good news also is that Indians have special visas. You know, that India gets there are special visas just for Indians.
Yeah, young professionals or something.
Yeah.
And do have a ballot system or something. They do have that, but I can't apply because I'm already here.
Okay.
People living there can apply. Yeah, it's still going on. I guess I don't know. Maybe.
I actually took notes because I get this question a lot about the visas.
So do you think as an international student it is quite difficult? I mean it is, but it's more competitive for us. I mean difficult to get a job. because they will be preferring home students because of the visa.
They
Or
don't,
something.
they don't have enough home students.
But then while applying to some companies, they ask a question like, do you require visa? So like if you put it yes, like many of the companies will reject you from that thing. And I don't know, I mean, yeah, that's kind of a problem.
Why they were gonna reject you?
I have heard from people doing that. I mean,
Maybe it's not the right place. I mean, if they reject you for that, maybe they are looking for someone cheap. You know?
So yeah, if you have this hypothetical situation where two people apply for the same job, one's British, one's not, overseas, then the British person's gonna get it.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what I was saying. Yeah.
But I wouldn't use this as a factor, like this doesn't really help you, right? I wouldn't use this information to influence your decision whether or not to apply for a job. I would say you are very lucky, actually. You're in the lucky category. That's my opinion.
Computer science?
Yep, one is because you're studying computer science, another one is because you're studying data viz. That helps. I'm not joking, I'm not objective obviously, but I really think it helps a lot based on the students that I've seen graduate. Third, you have an AI theme, like everybody's desperate for AI. Fourth, you're female. So the gender is going to help you a lot. And for some places they have a diversity and inclusivity policy. So they're going to actually be recruiting for international students or international people, some companies, right? So that can in some situations work to your advantage. Yeah. So I think you're in a very good position, actually. Sometimes I think, I feel like it's such an advantage to be female in the sciences and computer science and stuff. I think they have it very easy. That's not a politically correct thing to say, but I think it's an advantage. It's an advantage.
But at the end, it all depends upon your skills. If you don't have anything, you don't
That's
know
right.
anything,
That's
there's
correct.
no point
Yeah,
of being
yes.
a female.
But you only need to show that you know.
Yeah, the gender alone is not enough. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
not. But let's say you have, again, the hypothetical situation: female, male, same qualifications, applying for the same job.
And female.
Female will get it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But do qualifications matter in everything? I mean,
Mm.
that
Not
kind
in job.
of be a entry level thing or something?
It's just a screening. It's just the
Yeah,
first
it's a
screening.
screening
Yeah,
thing,
it's the first screening. The moment you pass the first screening, it's just how good you talk to the people. That's
Yeah.
it. Because they don't look at anything else. If you don't feel, if you don't have confidence on yourself, on your skills, they're gonna say, I don't like this one. You know, it likes to make me feel like she can do the job or he can do the job.
Yeah.
Right. So it's more about selling yourself.
I took notes because I get this question a lot about the visas. There's a one called the Youth Mobility Visa for
Yeah, that was
Indians,
I was talking about.
formerly known as the Tier 5 visa.
Yeah, tier 5 visa.
And then there's another one called the India Young Professionals
Professionals,
Scheme Visa.
And the
You're
valid
so
system.
lucky.
I can't apply right now, right?
Why not?
Well,
I have to go to India. I mean,
well, you're going to
I'm
India
already
next
here.
week. Like.
I have a student visa.
So you're in good shape, in my opinion.
Let's
You're in
see.
a good position. Yeah. I have a separate video about how to prepare for the interviews, by the way.
Oh,
So
good,
it's a
good.
separate thing.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of advice about the interviews. Yeah. A lot of really good advice.
Yeah, I mean,
I have to kidnap him.
no, I've just done.
Make him
I've
apply
done.
for it.
I've done too many interviews, and my results.
I wish you were there when I was doing the interview one, because
So
it's
now you
good.
know him, yeah. So
It's good. Yeah, you're gonna be in all the future ones. Any other questions, Wentao?
Yes.
Do you have like
So-
5 million more, or like?
No.
Okay.
That's two to three.
Okay.
Yeah. So how can I take the advantage of my database background?
Well, you list it as a skill on your CV.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
you.
is there like
Yeah.
is there
it's-
like a specific range of job that's preferred students with database?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely,
And
definitely,
Data
yes. Yeah.
scientist.
You want to put down in the skills, you want to put data visualization, information visualization, and visual analytics. All three of those, yeah, to get the initial screening. Yeah,
Yeah, very good keywords.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Another question is, what do people do after get a database PhD?
What did they do? Oh,
Yeah, after they get the PhD.
After we get
they
the
can
PhD.
do whatever they want, quite frankly. So if most of the ones I know went into industry, so like a lot of them wanted to stay here. They were like from overseas and they wanted to stay in the UK, so that's what they did. They went into industry and stayed in the UK. Let's see. Most of them did. A lot of them do some sort of software development, like or something related to software development. I have one student that works as a lecturer at a university. I have one that went to the US. His dream was to go to the US, and so he went to the US after he got his PhD.
Yes.
Yeah. He works for a company called Kitware, and they love to hire people with their PhD. Yeah, and he's doing software engineering.
Alright, come to him.
You can go. That's better.
How to get a job? Contact him.
And say, look at my video, and we were in that video.
Yeah, do a look, right? Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah, so they can do whatever they want, basically.
Yeah. Seems a lot of options.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Any other questions?
What should I do
Yeah.
with that PhD here in visualization with Excel?
That's a difficult one because of the funding.
Yeah.
It's about the funding.
And because you miss also the application deadline.
So one thing I can think of is just are you on my LinkedIn? So if I come across funding, I will post it on LinkedIn.
I check your profile every time I open because you like a lot of things. So like I checked it.
I did post something about funding like I don't know 4 or 5 months ago.
East Midlands thing, right?
That's true. I posted about that, but I posted something. I've posted about funding like whenever it happens. It's typically like once or twice a year, which isn't very often. But I'll post something like funded position in visualization. That's one thing to do. Another thing to do is like if I would also consider looking at jobs.ac.uk. They have an email. They'll send you a weekly email. And if you're looking for a PhD studentship in visualization, not necessarily with me, but just in anywhere in the UK,
Yeah,
it will
email
be.
lists.
It will most likely be posted there. Yeah.
Email lists are very good for them. In any field, you're looking for some postdoc position, PhD position, research position. A lot of people are send emails. I don't know why. It's very common in this field, sending emails. So yeah, better than
Are you
posting.
connected to Kai also on LinkedIn, Kai Zhu?
Yeah.
So follow. If he sees funding, he will probably post something too. Yeah, if he know, like I think I've seen him post things about funding and stuff. Yeah, so those are some things, but yeah, getting the funding is very challenging. It's frankly it's just not always possible to say I want this funding at this institution with this person at this time. Like it's just not always possible. Funding is very, very competitive. you know, in the UK, I would say the acceptance rate is between 5 and 10% typically. It's the most difficult part of the academic's job is to succeed with the funding. And so like when I was applying for PhDs, I was applying at different places. And I didn't know like who my supervisor was going to be like when I took the position and stuff like that. So I took a big risk actually, but it worked out. Yeah.
Did you apply PhD in the US or just
I
in
did.
Germany?
I applied in the US, Canada, the UK, and in Europe. Yeah, I really sort of opened because I know the situation. Like I know it's very competitive. The opportunities are rare. So I knew I was at an advantage if the more flexible I was. Yeah, and I knew I actually had a funded position in the U.S. that I left because I didn't like it. Because it was a bad. You can get into a bad PhD program. It can happen, like where you're like, oh, I'm in a bad program. Like the graduation, the success rate is very low. I was in a program where the success rate was very, very low, and it was legitimately like a bad PhD program. So I was like, I'm gonna find something else. Yeah.
How did you find the graduation rate?
I don't have statistics on it. I was just talking to other PhD candidates that were much further along in the process, like in their 5th year or their 6th year or whatever. I remember.
Yeah. When that happened, it's like no, I won't do it there. I heard also several people where I was before in university, and it was like some of them were like 8 years. I was like, no, I'm leaving this place. Yeah, I don't want to get stuck here the rest of my life.
So like here it's 4 years, right? 3 years of research and 1 year.
3 years and a half.
Typically, yeah.
I met a girl yesterday when she's doing a PhD. I went to an experiment, so like she was telling me that all these things.
Good. Yep, the more people you talk to, the better.
Yeah.
That brain thing. In MRL lab.
Oh yeah, the functional imaging stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, what's that? EG. Yeah.
That's a good visualization topic. By the way, that data that they generate is a good visualization topic because it's very complicated. Those data sets.
The cleaning process.
I still remember going to lunch with one of the PhD candidates that I started at back in the US, and he was very emotional with me, and he said, like, Bob, don't stay here, get your PhD somewhere else. Like, he was very emotional about it. Yeah, I still remember, his name was Charles Elfie. I still remember having lunch with him, and him being very, very emotional. And I
think he'll be still doing the PhD?
It was really, really bad. The program was very bad. His supervisor was also bad. I overheard one of the conversations that they were having. It was horrible. I was like, oh, horrible. But that's a different video. But I don't think the supervisor was good. I think the supervisor was quite poor. Yeah. Actually, I know Charles was really, really smart. He was smarter than I am. And he was like a great PhD candidate. It was actually the supervisor's fault in this case. Yeah. The supervisor was just like, I don't know, something wrong with him. Yeah.
I won't do a PhD then, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you find a good supervisor, it's alright. If you have a really good supervisor, that's alright.
That is
That's
a big
very
factor.
hard.
It's a big
It's
factor.
very hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't choose. I don't know.
No.
But everything in life like that's really valuable is difficult. You know, and all the stuff that's really easy is not that valuable. Yeah.
You can go for a job and then don't have a good boss.
Okay, and are we finished, Wen Tao?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you guys. See, I told you to come and have a discussion with me. I was correct.
Well, thank you so much.